So, Evelyn, I hope that answered your question. We definitely have a plan to reform health care to provide cost-affordable health care without cutting $500 billion, $500 billion out of Medicare, because that puts a lot of our seniors at risk of losing or seeing reductions in their Medicare benefits, and that's not what we want to support. Hey, again, let me ask you a question. Some of you are just now signing on to the call. If this is the first time that you've participated in one of these telephone town halls like this one, press 1 for yes, press 2 for no. And if you would like to ask a question, press 0 to get into the question queue. And you can also subscribe to our email newsletter by pressing 7 on your keypad and giving us your email address. Let's go to our next caller, Orlando, down in Lake Milton. How are you?
Good, Bill. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, buddy. What's on your mind?
Okay. Well, since they're going to throw out Obamacare, and are they going to replace it with medical savings for companies that the people that want to get into medical, savings plans where they go ahead and take that money and save it every year towards their insurance, towards their, towards their medical health, and are they thinking about doing that so more competition can come in for their dollars? If I have dollars in my pockets, they're gonna compete for them. And
absolutely, Orlando. That's exactly that's one of the main tenets of the health care proposal that the Republican-led House has laid out, giving Americans the ability to put away pre-tax dollars. I don't know if everybody understands what that means. It means that you get to put that money away before you pay your taxes on your income. In other words, you don't pay tax on those dollars that you put away in that health savings account. Orlando is exactly right. That'll drive down the cost of health care because you'll be able to pay for routine health care at a much lower cost than buying a massive health insurance policy. Again, if you'd like to ask a question, press 0 to get into the question queue. And if you'd like to subscribe to our email newsletter, just press 7 on your keypad, and we'll take your email address. Hey, let me give you an idea of what you told us on our first question. I asked you if this is the first time that you have participated in one of these telephone town halls. Over 61% of you said yes. So for those new folks that are here for the first time, thanks a lot for joining tonight. Let us know what's important to you, and we'll talk about it. In fact, let me ask you another question, give you something to think about, and we'll see where this conversation goes. Here's another question for you. Do you think the Supreme Court will strike down President Obama's job-killing health care plan that cuts Medicare by $500 billion? Press 1 for yes, press 2 for no. Do you think the Supreme Court will strike down President Obama's job-killing health care bill that cuts Medicare by $500 billion? Press 1 for yes, press 2 for no. With that, let's go to our next caller, Shauna in Irondale.
Yeah. Okay, this is what I need to know. What are you going to do about President Obama trying to make it mandatory that we have to purchase health insurance when the middle class isn't even middle class anymore? They're actually lower middle class, and we're struggling to pay that $400 to $500 a month just for a three-person family and can't even put food on our table.
Yeah, Shauna, you bring up that is the issue that has been at the center of this debate ever since the president jammed this law down the throats of the American people. Never in the course of American history has the federal government mandated that the American people purchase anything. And in this case, like you said, it's a mandatory purchase of health care. And I want to tell you that one of my very first votes when I arrived here on your behalf in January of 2011 was to repeal entirely President Obama's health care law to keep that individual mandate from going through. Now, we're going to be sitting on pins and needles waiting until Thursday to see what the Supreme Court is going to do. But I am hopeful that the Supreme Court is going to strike down the health care law, at a minimum, strike down that individual mandate so that we can replace it with patient-centered, private sector, common sense solutions that'll keep your medical decisions between you and your doctors and keep health care affordable and accessible by not only our seniors but future generations. Hey, let me ask you the question that I asked you again. Do you think the Supreme Court will strike down President Obama's job-killing health care bill that cuts Medicare by $500 billion? Press 1 for yes, press 2 for no. Do you think the Supreme Court will strike down President Obama's job-killing health care law that cuts Medicare by $500 billion? Press 1 for yes, press 2 for no. And if you would like to subscribe to our email newsletter and get more updates from us, press 7 to give us your email address. And if you'd like to ask a question during this call, just press 0 and you'll be put into the question queue. Let's go to our next caller, Eli in Latonia. How are you?
Yes. Oh, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Hello? I am 91 years old.
Oh, well, bless your heart.
And
Thank you.
And I just would ask like a couple questions. I hear that at the end of that Obamacare, it'll be open to add whatever they feel like it at the end. Is that true? And will it affect our Medicare and Medicaid?
Yes, ma'am. That is true. The health care law that President Obama and Nancy Pelosi and Charlie Wilson voted for basically leaves up to interpretation for the Department of Health and Human Services and other bureaucrats here in Washington to basically interpret the law however they want to. And we're seeing some of the terrible ways that they're interpreting that law and putting it into place today. So you are exactly right. And we've seen things like the $500 billion cut to Medicare. And we want to repeal that. And we want to put your health care decisions back in your hands, not in that unelected bureaucratic board called the Independent Payment and Advisory Board here in Washington, D.C. I don't want bureaucrats here in Washington making my health care decisions, and I don't think you folks do either. At least that's what you've told me in the past. Hey, again, if you want to ask me a question, press 0. And if you'd like to subscribe to our email newsletter, press 7 to give us your email address. I'm going to ask you this question one more time, and then we'll move on. Do you think the Supreme Court will strike down President Obama's job-killing health care law that cuts Medicare by $500 billion?